Hello everyone and welcome to A Slice of My Life. It is review time, and I'm saying review time because I want to try something a little bit different in this video, or maybe I want to explore something a little bit different from here on out. Some videos might be in this particular format, and I say format even though it's in the same camera angle and frame, but I'll explain a little bit more about this at the end of the video. So let's just get into it. I have with me the Dot Spinner, or I should say the Dot2. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say Dot2 or Dot Square by Premium Spinners, and this I actually got many months ago. I'm just gonna say many months ago. I got this for quite some time. This was from the second batch of Dot releases that Alex put out on the Premium Spinners website, and it's been with me ever since. I've been, I guess, alternating it in and out of my rotation whenever I don't have another spinner that I actually put onto my EDC for that 1 week. And so in order to start things off, I will talk about first the specs of the spinner, then my overall impressions, and finally my final verdict. This one is made in stainless steel. This finish is, I don't even know if it's a tumbled finish even though it is stated on the website, but this is, you could see a little bit of tumbling. You could see some, of that treatment there, or that finish, but for the majority you actually see the machining marks, and I think it's very well done. The machining is pretty much on point. It's been finished very nicely, and I attribute that to the stone washing because this is just smoothness all around. Even though these are pronounced edges, they are not sharp. There's no burrs at all, so it's very nice to the touch, very comfortable. This is about 58 grams, so that's just 2 grams shy of 60, so I would still round this up to 60 grams, which is actually a weight that I pretty much enjoy. Since this is just 2 grams away from 60 and 60 is my bottom line, I actually think this is an okay weight. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the bearing retention method, and it is a slip fit, so it is being held in by glue. It features I guess I can't really find information on the bearing, but it is a USA made R188. Now if you realize why I haven't even shown you guys the bearing, it's because I want to talk about the next feature, which is the particular button system. And this is, I guess, a kind of a prototype testing kind of thing that Alex was trying out. He wanted feedback from the users, but I'll talk about that later because first of all I want to say that initially I didn't even realize it. I was just trying to unscrew the buttons, and then I realized that it was an infinite just twisting action. I realized maybe I'm supposed to kind of pull it apart, and so I did. I tried it out and then I plucked it out. Right here you could see a slot in there that is machined to fit that O-ring. Now you guys see the bearing, and I actually changed out the bearing because this is not the original. The reason why I did not use the original bearing is because it was a spin meet. There was Faiz, there was Sam, there was Frankie, and there was William, and William suggested why not I try changing out the bearings from the original bearing, which was kind of like a one-drop competitor that was shielded, with another bearing to see if I could get a different kind of resonance, and I'll talk about that later as well. So anyway, you push the button out this way, and you could see that it is made like that. It kind of sits kind of like that, and then the topmost O-ring is the one that actually interfaces with the other half of the button, and it goes like that. So you can actually see that these two are supposed to be, I guess, close to the top and bottom of the inner race of the bearing. And of course, yes, it is a dedicated male and female button, but this button here is a little bit special. It does give a different feedback altogether. Doesn't matter what bearing you're actually using, it gives a different feedback. If you spin it like this, then yeah, I could feel the SBV2. I'm using SBV2 by the way. I could feel the standard kind of feedback from the SBV2, but once I pop the buttons back on, it's a different story. As I wrap up the specs, I want to give you guys a quick size comparison, and in comes my stubby. So here we go guys, stubby against the Dot2. You can see that Dot2 is almost of the same height as a stubby, but it is way narrower. Even the buttons are slightly smaller, and of course these are buttons from Mun's Studios, but they are slightly smaller than Mun's Studios buttons, but they are definitely bigger than the stubby stock buttons. So these are, I believe, maybe 20mm buttons. I might be wrong, I'm sorry, but the buttons do have one cool feature on the side. They have this groove here, and if you actually have, I guess, a wider O-ring, you could even consider putting an O-ring around the buttons because it would sit in there, and then you just give it a little bit more of a customized look. My impressions on the Dot2, I think it's a pretty alright spinner, a little bit small, and I realized that it feels even smaller than what it looks like because of the way it's made. These are actually tapering inwards, and this design, I believe, is inspired by the Dot candy. Now when I first bought this, Alex actually put in a small little box of Dot candy in it, and to actually see that this looks like that, it's kind of cool. Everything here is curved very nicely, so you actually have an extra ridge that kind of pushes the weights out, and then it tapers inwards at the end, and it is raised from where the core is. Very curved, very comfortable, but it just feels way smaller in hand, especially when you're performing pulls. It is very ergonomic and very pocketable. I'm gonna say that this is one of the most pocketable spinners that I have, and at the same time it's got a pretty nice design in my opinion. I love these machining marks. You guys know I'm quite a fan of very well done machining marks, and I think that these machining marks here are well done, coupled with the fact that this was stone washed. I mean, 2 of my favorite finishes in one. This is just awesome, right? So performing flicks is not a problem. It just does feel a little bit smaller. It's not as satisfying as other spinners because of its size and its weight, but it does its job very well. Pulls and forward flicks with an index finger and thumb grip, no problem. Even if you change it up to a middle finger and thumb grip. Pushes and pulls with your fourth finger, pushes and pulls with your index finger, not a problem at all. It's very easy to hit the center of the spinner because of this dip over here. I think it's a very, very well done dip, and I love the fact that this part goes upwards because it complements the curve of the button as well, so that feels like it's one fluid thing altogether. So good job to Alex for that. So downside, this particular system of having O-rings for the buttons, this is a little bit strange and something that I wish wasn't done. I wish Alex stuck with the standard screw mechanism, male and female style, because that is, I guess, something that I would consider, not trying to reinvent the wheel. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. And the reason why is because this gives a pretty strange feedback. Well, listen to the sound. And once I apply pressure and squeeze the buttons together, then listen to what happens then. So that tells me basically that the O-rings are actually affecting the spin response, and that's a little bit strange, and the fact that the original, I guess, stock bearing is close to what a one drop would give you, then actually having this O-ring system which will dampen the feedback even more, I felt that that was a little bit too smooth for my liking. Like, I felt like I was flicking something, but then after that I wouldn't feel anything in my hand. Like, I wouldn't get the whirring sensation that I actually like from other bearings, unless you are someone who really enjoys a spinner that has absolutely no feedback or close to no feedback, then maybe yes, don't change out the bearing, use this button system and you'll be good to go. The next thing that I want to mention about this is I tried to swap this out with other buttons, and for some reason, even though this is a standard press fit, I'm not able to use other press fit buttons on this. I realized that it was a little bit off center, like there'll be more space on one side versus the other, and then that half of the button would be scratching against the spinner frame itself, so that was a little bit undesirable, so I changed it back to this button. I will say, however, that this button looks beautiful on a stubby. Wanna see? Okay, I'll show you. Ta-da! Dot2 buttons on a stubby. It looks good, right? It looks really good. For some reason, this is like a very good match. And since we are still on the topic of the buttons, I want to mention that every time you remove the buttons or you put the buttons back on, it is a little bit scary because you don't know if that friction might actually pop the bearing out. So that's something that is also a downside, I suppose. I want to be able to change my buttons as and when I want to without having the fear of dislodging the bearing. It's not an intended action, but it might actually happen. And I'm speaking from personal experience. This is my feedback because I have changed the buttons out quite a number of times. After such a long time, I still have this in my rotation. I still have this on me. I haven't sold it yet. Yes, you guys realize I'm actually selling quite a lot of spinners. Those case queens that I don't actually touch for a few months, I tend to get rid of them unless they have a special meaning or special story to me. So that is my overall impressions of the Dot2 spinner. I've told you what I like and what I don't like about it, and now it is time for the final verdict. I got this for $55.99, which is basically $56 excluding shipping. Do I think that it is worth the money? Yes. The reason why is because we all know premium spinners, Alex, does his own machining. For him to come up with this completely original design, I think it's a great job. Plus, it is manufactured in the USA. Even bearings are actually sourced, or maybe I don't even know if he has any partnerships in the US, but bearings are from the USA as well. So $55.99 for this. I enjoy it so far, and the fact that I've had it for such a long time so far means I've basically got my value out of it already. $55.99. If anything, I just wish that the buttons were screw male and female buttons, but I guess I could just spend some time looking for another set of buttons that would match. But even if I don't find buttons to match, the fact that I changed out the bearings now, I'm actually getting some feedback from it, which I enjoy, versus the original stock bearings. So, to me, that is not a point of contempt. It's just a personal thing, like everyone has their own preferences. For me, I just prefer something with a little bit more feedback. But Alex was going for something really smooth, really silent, and he was going for something really ergonomic. So on that particular point, and if those were the goals that he was setting out to get, I would say that he did a good job on that. And so I think the final verdict for this is not bad. It's pretty good for $55.99. I don't know if there will ever be another run for these again. I know that they are out of stock, and I do believe that they were actually manufactured or produced in stainless steel, brass and bronze. I may be wrong about the brass part, but I know at least there was bronze and stainless steel. And that's it. Thank you for sticking all the way throughout, everyone, and thank you for sharing in the slice of my life. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that I provided enough information to I guess I can't really say to help you decide whether or not you want to get one of these, but at least I hope that I provided you with more information about the Dot2 Spinner. Let me know if you like this particular style of videos or this new format where it's more of like a shorter video where I actually talk about spinners that have been with me for a little while, just that I never ever got down to review. You know, in this specs, impressions and final verdict kind of format. Just let me know if you like it, if you don't, because this also means that I won't be sharing with you guys the unboxings, and it also means that I won't be sharing with you guys any kind of reactions from my colleagues, like especially Tetris. I know you guys like Tetris in my videos, and of course no food. So everyone, till the next slice of my life, I will catch you then, and gaga boost.